I recently discovered that my wife of 5 years and partner of 8 years has been having an affair with her boss. We have 2 children together, and I'm completely at a loss of what to do. She is military, so we have all of our healthcare through her. I'm terrified of losing all of our benefits, but I can't forgive what I found on her phone when I went through it. The person she got caught on isn't the only guy she was talking to and flirting with. There were 3 to 4 other men on her phone I found her flirting with. I know she deletes her messages, so there is more than I have been able to find. When I confronted her, she said she was going to kill herself and is now in a psychiatric facility for 2 weeks, and I'm alone with the kids trying to handle everything on my own. I'm currently a full-time student and have been struggling with getting my assignments in on time and taking care of everything else. She keeps saying she is sorry and doesn't want to live without me, but I know she is still lying to me about things she doesn't know I have proof of. I'm just spiraling all over the place and haven't had a chance to process everything since confronting her last week, since I've been taking care of the kids. I don't know what to do. A voice in my head just keeps telling me I never should have confronted her. Another keeps telling me I should just try to move on. And another is telling me I can never forgive someone who hurt me like this. I don't know what to do, and I just need support or advice. I want to be strong enough to leave, but I'm so afraid. Update. I just wanted to update everyone since this community has been extremely supportive, and I've had a few people reach out. Before my wife had checked into the psychiatric hospital, we had talked about doing things amicably and even going to counselling to try and save our marriage. She was released this week on Wednesday, but had for the week prior gone radio silent. No calls to check on the kids, no calls to check on me or anything else. When she finally did call, it was a brief 2-minute phone call where she asked if she got anything in the mail, and when I said no, she hung up. That, for me, was what finally set me over the edge. I just kept thinking, I'm out here trying to take care of all our bills, watch where I'm spending money, cut back on non-essentials, get the kids to their extracurricular activities, and figure out how I'm going to survive, because I was the full-time student and stay-at-home parent. Meanwhile, she is just doing whatever, and her boss is down the street just cozy in bed, not worried about what they did to my children's and my own lives. So I contacted my attorney and told him to start the paperwork, and I wanted primary custody, child support, and the house. He told me I had an extremely strong case, and after a nice retainer of $10,000, I started down the divorce road. When my wife was released from the hospital, she came back to the house, and we had a long talk about our relationship and moving forward. I told her if she was serious about reconciling, then she needed to prove to me she was willing to put some skin in the game. From all accounts I've heard, she was planning on screwing me in divorce court in a couple of months if she hadn't been caught and running off with this guy. I let her know I was told as much, and told her, "From my perspective, you were planning on hurting me as much as you could. But the dice didn't roll in your favor, and now you are looking for the security because you are in serious trouble." I told her to find an apartment, and we have 60 days for divorce to be finalized in our state. We could try marriage counseling, but I need to protect myself so I can be the best dad possible for my children. If she wanted to fix things, she needed to show me that she wasn't planning on ruining my life and give me the space I need to heal. Maybe somewhere down the road, therapy can fix things internally for me and possibly between us, but for right now, I know she is still withholding information and she is still lying. I held her hand when she was sick and needed infusions at the hospital. I carried her to bed on the nights she was in too much pain to walk. And it wasn't enough for her. She chose what she did, and now she is dealing with the consequences. Her family came out to watch her for a few days when she got released, and they are obviously taking her side with things. She either manipulated them, or more likely, the entire family is just ethically bankrupt. When the process server gave her the paperwork, she tried taking the kids, but I told her she couldn't. Her family tried blaming me and telling me I was messed up for doing this, but I told them I had a right to react how I chose, in response to what she did. She took pretty much everything of hers from the house and left last night, and it's been radio silent since. I'm writing this as my kids play, with their toys, in the other room. My assignments have all been turned in on time. I'm still holding a 4.0 GPA. The laundry is almost done, the dishes are drying, and dinner is already set for tonight. I've made every practice for them in the last 2 weeks, and I've kept the house clean and even found some time for myself last Friday night. I don't know who will read this message, but I just wanted to tell you it can be done. I have no idea how I'm going to make it moving forward, but I'm going to. To all the beautiful people who messaged me when I needed it, and the people who took time out of their nights the last few weeks to help me when I was a mess of anger, grief, and depression, thank you. The people here gave me the push I needed to stand up for myself and not accept living in hell, to stay with someone who only loved the things I provided for them, and never me. This is all far from over, and when I have more information, I'll post it here, so someone in the future can find it and know things can be okay, even if it hurts now. I leave this post with some of the best advice I've gotten in the last 2 weeks. You aren't in love with her. You're in love with a lie she showed you to get what she wanted. Take the time to grieve the loss of the relationship. The person you thought you knew is gone, and it's okay to not be okay about that. Better to face the poison today on your own terms than it is to hide from it and let it slowly kill you for the rest of your life. Update 2. I've had a few people message me about an update, and since I have some time tonight, I thought I would continue to share with people my story, good, bad, or ugly, on the off chance it helps even a single person. A few days after my last post, finally reached out to me to set up spending time with the kids. It was haphazardly done an hour before their bedtime, and when I said I was uncomfortable with letting her take them, and I wanted to discuss it in the morning, she said, "So you are withholding the children from me, am I understanding that right?" I knew from her demeanour and use of the word withholding that she was laying a legal trap for me, so I let her take the children under the written agreement that they would be returned to me in 2 days' time, and that her visiting family would be there with her to watch the kids as well. I spent those 2 days getting some much-needed rest. I had not really had a chance to rest since D-Day, so it was in a way a welcome respite. She seemed upset that night, but came by the next morning to pick up some things for the kids. She was back to her old self, the woman that I married, shattered the dam that had been holding my emotions for the last month. I cried uncontrollably and started having a panic attack in the entryway of the house. She stopped what she was doing and knelt down to me and just held me. She told me everything was going to be all right. She loved me and that things would work out no matter what. When I calmed down, she kissed me one last time and left. On the day the kids were set to return, she texted me an hour before the agreed time and said she wasn't bringing them back. I called her numerous times, and she picked up once, told me I couldn't have them back, and then hung up. It was late in the afternoon on the weekend, and I was unable to get a hold of my attorney. His secretary actually called me from her personal line and told me to just make sure everything is in text message between us and to hold on for our court date that was scheduled in a few days. What followed was one of the worst weekends of my life. I had panic attacks seemingly every hour, couldn't sleep, barely ate, and just held on for dear life. I was reminded of an old sailor's saying, "Hold fast." And that is what I did in the storm I found myself in. When my court date arrived, I was about as nervous as I could have been. I knew at this point my STBXW had been lying to people about what happened. She has turned every neighbour we talk to regularly against me, and they all won't talk to me. I was afraid, but my lawyer and I arrived an hour early and strategized. Her attorney and her arrived 5 minutes before the hearing and tried to pin everything on me, saying I was a liar, a manipulator, that I put her in the psych ward against her will, and that she was only depressed because I had spent days screaming at her. My lawyer calmly played one of the recordings I had of her. I had recorded the conversation where she said she wanted to kill herself and had started recording before I walked into the house to have it with her, as I did not know what to expect. In the recording, she talked about how I was the better parent. I always stopped her from snapping at the kids, how she had been abusive to me for a long time, that therapy wasn't helping her, and she didn't know how to control herself. The demeanour of her and her attorney changed very quickly, from arrogance to uncertainty. I then revealed that she had been withholding the children from me for a week in violation of the court order, and that was enough to get them to strike a deal with us. I am now the primary custodian of my 2 children. She has to pay me $450 a month in child support and is now under mandated supervised visits with the children and must send me her GPS location at all times when she has them. The return of my children has been one of the greatest sense of relief in my life. I have sat deployed in hardened shelters waiting for the all-clear signal from inbound rockets, and never have I felt that level of relief as I did in court that morning. We were getting by just barely that month she was gone without supporting us, and knowing that I am getting child support has lifted a great weight off my shoulders. There is nothing now for us other than to wait for our mediation date to split all of our assets finally and be done. For the people specifically interested in the punishment my spouse and her AP were going to receive from the military, I have bad news for you. They dropped the charges against them. He is set to retire in less than 50 days. And once she said she was going to kill herself, I think they took pity on her and started to view her as a victim rather than a willing participant. Either way, the base has decided to sweep everything under the rug after quietly removing him from his command. I wish I could say I was angry, but at this point, I don't even care. I got the only 2 people who mattered in the divorce. My STBXW can have everyone else. I find myself at times still angry that they both get away with what they did to my children, but I'm not afforded the luxury of anger now. I need to focus on being a good single parent, and that anger is only going to hold me down. It's hard most days, but I feel a little lighter and a little more calm each day. I've met so many wonderful people here and where I live because of everything that's happened, and they've given me great hope. I'm not the type to quit or give up on things, and I haven't given up on finding love again. I experienced what it was like to love someone completely, and know somewhere in the future I'll find that again, this time with a person that loves me the same. Having experienced this hell and all that is sure to follow, I know I will be better at setting boundaries and standing up for myself. This weekend is her first scheduled weekend of custody since violating the original court order. I'm not sure what to do with myself after being a single parent the last month and a half. I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, and then I think I'm going to go kayaking for a bit. There is peace in the freedom of the future.